Has life ever felt like a broken record for you? The things that you want to keep away keep coming back. The problems that you seem to keep having won't leave you alone. They just keep coming. And the change that you so desperately seek in your life right this very moment might seem downright impossible to ever attain. Yes, I get it. Life can seem at times like a record player that is playing on that constant loop over and over and over again. For those of you who are too young to even know what a record player is, or ever had even a plastic one that you played your Disney tunes on, let me give you another analogy to consider. One of my favorite places in Florida has a turnabout or a roundabout. Have you ever been on one? Have you ever been on one and unsure how to get off of it? Now, here where we live, we don't see very many of them, but in Florida or in other areas, there's quite a lot of turnabouts. But every time that I go to get on a turnabout, I feel the nervousness creeping up. My hands get all sweaty, palms get all sweaty, my face gets flush, my fingers grip that steering wheel very, very, very tightly because I am terrified on how I'm going to get off. Now, I know, if you do any research on turnabouts or roundabouts, the research says that it's much safer than any four-way stop ever could be. But to me, it feels like I'm on a rabbit hole. I feel like it's something that I get stuck in. And I just am going around and around and around again, unable to find my exit safely without cutting someone off or getting cut off in the process. What if I told you that our minds are much like these turnabouts or roundabouts, or even like those record players? And what if I told you that possibly the reason that you aren't able to accomplish all of that stuff that you are so desperately dreaming of accomplishing, those things that you weren't able to welcome in your life, the change that is challenging you, the way that you want your life to feels so out of touch? What if I told you that you aren't able to break free of these hurdles or these barriers or obstacles that keep coming your way? What if I told you that it could be because of you, your mind, and the fact that it is stuck like a broken record or on a turnabout that you can't get off of, that appears to have no clear exits? Would you believe me? And better question, would you figure out a way to toss that record out and find a clear path off that turnabout? Well, I might just have something today for you to consider. So, I'm an author myself, and as an author, I'm a big fan of the power of a story, especially the story that you write. But today, I'm not talking about that story. I'm actually talking about the fact that there are two stories in life that we are constantly writing and that we are actually speaking. You see, we are gifted with two voices. We are gifted with a voice that has immense power up here and a voice that has immense power down here. And each of these voices are used to create a story. So the voice you use to speak and the voice you use to think. Let's start with the voice you use to speak, because that is the one that the rest of the world can easily read. That's that story they can easily understand. This is the story that you tell other people. This is the story you want people to know. It's the story that's filled with beautiful Facebook images and cropped and filtered photos on Instagram. It's that perfect story that others look at and wish that they had in their life. It's a story that you tell other people. It tells all the great things that you want them to think and that are happening in your life. It's that perfect story with the perfect kids and the perfect career and the perfect house, the perfect life. But behind that story is a much more dangerous story. And I venture to say it's probably a more important story for us to consider. And that is the story that happens up here. You see, without ever speaking a single word, you are writing a different story up here with the voice that you use to think. This story is one that goes on 24/7. It's probably a story that you're creating right this very moment as you're listening to this video message. Because this story, this voice, never stops. It's the story that you tell yourself when you look in the mirror and when you look at others. It's a story you tell yourself about yourself and the story you tell yourself about the world around you. See, it is the story that writes how you're not good enough, or how you think you're not good enough, or how could you ever accomplish more? Are you really worth that? It's the story that has a heavy plot line, but one that you can never get out of. That story, that voice that you use to think is so important, and actually more important, in my opinion, than the one you use to speak. And here is why. Remember that broken record we were talking about and that really annoying turnabout? Well, that is happening in your mind with the voice that you use to speak every single moment. See, that voice is talking non-stop, and it's creating a story that is likely very, very, very different than the story that is real, than the story that's out here, than the story that is actually happening. So that story in here gets placed on a record, and it just keeps going around, per se, round and round and round, with no hope of stopping. That story that you've created can be like that annoying song that you can't get stuck out of your head. It just keeps going. Even when you want to stop, you can't. Before you know it, that story gets momentum. It goes faster. It goes faster and faster. And it starts to fly off the record player, and it starts to come this way. It begins to shape the story that's out here. The story that you use the story you use to speak. The story out here in the real world begins to look a lot like the story that you keep in here, that you didn't want anyone to see. That outcome is what is called the self-fulfilling prophecy. What you think of yourself starts to happen. You aren't good enough, you tell yourself, and then you begin to see others treat you the same way. They may have never thought before what you think, but when you start shifting that story and it gains momentum, then they will start to see that too, or think they see it too. So ponder for a moment this. If the story that you use, and that you create in here with the voice you use to think is so powerful, if our thoughts are so powerful in life, they have such power that this broken record that you have, you could actually use for good. You could use that power to help you achieve and tackle your most wildest dreams. But here's what you have to do. You have to put a pause on that broken record of negative thoughts. You have to start telling yourself no more to the voice that you use to think. Instead, opt for the thoughts that will propel you. Those thoughts that will give you hope. Those thoughts that are built on optimism and opportunity. Put those thoughts on your internal record player. And guess what? They will again become a broken record. They will just keep going, going, going. But instead, those thoughts will give you power, and that power will speed up. And then it'll start coming like this out into your everyday life. And instead of fulfilling a life that you are wanting to dodge, you will start to live a life that you want to truly live. The law of attraction will start to happen in your life. You'll begin to attract people and opportunities and possibilities that actually fill you up, that give you purpose. That broken record now becomes a song that you actually enjoy singing and don't want to get out of your mind. One that you're fine with it being stuck. And that turnabout that made your palms all sweaty, they don't anymore. You enter with ease and you realize you can easily get on and off and find the exit you were always looking for. As you go about your day today, and quite frankly, any day, I want you to remember this. You have two voices, and each are writing a unique story in your own life. No matter the plot of your story, no matter the characters that are involved, you hold the key to the perspective, because that which you think becomes that which you speak, and that which you speak becomes that which you seek.